Well, hello there, my fine gardening friends. How the devil are you? Well, welcome to late winter in Nova Scotia, and a rather chilly late winter it is too. We are in sort of March the 4th, Saturday, March the 4th actually. And as you can see outside, it's rather white. We've got a couple of foot of snow that came the other day, preventing any work to be done in the garden, which is a bit disappointing, but not unexpected for Nova Scotia, even though we've actually hardly had any snow this year at all. It's been mostly warm, except for last week when we had sort of -20, I think, something like that, and then a big dump of snow, but not coming at the best of time. So I thought I'd make good use of my time, and I'm a bit late doing this, so I'm actually planting some peppers. Some jalapenos, my favourite. It's all very well having those really hot ones, but I find this sort of jalapeno the most useful. You know, they can provide a nice bit of heat, and you can also eat them raw in salad and stuff like that. So that's me. I'm a bit of a not very hot pepper person. I do grow them for Mrs. F. She'd have hot peppers on her cornflakes if it was up to her. But anyway, so I'm just planting these hot peppers. Like I said, a bit late. I'd normally do them sort of middle of February because they need a long growing sort of season here anyway in Nova Scotia. Even though we get a nice hot summer, it's not particularly long, so they need quite a long time to grow here to get the fruits going, and especially good because I've got a greenhouse. But it sort of reminds me, you know, with the long growing season and having to look after them right at the start of the year when, you know, I'm starting to grow them when they're not particularly good growing conditions. I've got to start them on my windowsill. I'm using one of these chicken dishes that I save, put some holes in the bottom, and I've got a little greenhouse. Voila. You know me, I like to save money and sort of save the planet at the same time. But anyway, where was I? Yes. So all of these sort of things you've got to do to grow peppers, make them a bit, you know, it's one of those difficult things to grow. And as sort of the summer comes, we all want to be growing, you know, going out to the garden to pick all this juicy tomatoes and some nice hot peppers or some nice sweet peppers, melons and all these sort of lovely juicy plants. But they're difficult to grow, especially in this sort of climate. So I thought I would do my sort of 5 easiest plants that I grow in the veg garden. Again, like the other week when I did my top 5 most versatile, you know, most useful plants, I thought I'd do the easy plants to grow. And especially when you're starting up new, you want some wins. You know, there's nothing like starting up a new garden and everything dying. It's a bit demoralising, isn't it? So it's much better to start when you're a new gardener, or even when you're an experienced gardener. It's always good to start the year off with some wins, whether it be quick growing plants or just, you know, bulletproof real doers, as I call them. It's good to have a few of those in the back pocket for a difficult year, when you know that they're normally going to do, if you just look after them a little bit, they're going to do you well. So what are my top 5? Well, number 5, unexpected probably from you, not a vegetable itself, autumn fruiting raspberries. You've got a long season and then it starts to drop off big style. September, sort of October, really all you've got coming is leafy greens and your apples and things like that. But just as things are starting to dip off, or they've popped up for a long time, autumn fruiting raspberries just started to fruit, and I get loads and loads and loads of fruit for them, and it's a fantastic crop to have right at the end of the season. You know, I get them right into sort of late October. If there's not too many hard frosts or anything, I'll get them into sort of late October time, maybe even November sometimes. And that's, you know, that doesn't make them easy to grow, but the one thing that makes them easy to grow is every single year, once they've fruited and you've finished taking all the fruit off them, I just hard cut them hard to the ground, and then next year they grow up. I make sure I stake a few to keep them nice and upright, and that's it. They'll flower, then fruit again. Job's a good one every single year. Plant them, and in fact, they're actually a bit too aggressive sometimes, and I have runners coming up. Even though I grow them in a sort of raised bed, I have runners coming up about 5-6 feet away. You know, you just cut them off and that's easy enough, but really easy to grow. Plant them, you know, feed them every year. I'll just put a nice dressing of compost on every year. Make sure they've got enough water. They'll grow up, they'll fruit, cut them down, and again, grow up, fruit, cut them down. Really, really easy, and every single year I get more and more fruit. So raspberries in my top 5 for easiest fruit and veg to grow. So what's next? Right, I've got peas. Again, they were in my most useful plants. Really profuse amount of fruit from them every single year. Well, not every single year. You got to make sure you keep them watered. Sometimes you get a few bugs, but really plant them in, and you can plant them just, you know, before the frost. Plant them in the ground. Up they grow. Make sure you stake them. You know, make sure you put some little twiggy sticks or bamboo canes for them to grow up. And then, as long as once they start flowering, as long as you keep picking them, absolutely superb. So much fruit. Half the time you can't keep up, and you got to give them away to your friends. Freeze them, make soup out of them, all sorts of things. But you know, the main thing is they're really easy to grow. So that's peas. That was an easy one, really. Easy peasy, in fact. Apologies for that. So number 3. Now, number 3 should have actually been in my most useful plants. And I can't believe I missed it out, because it is one of my favourite veg to grow, and that's garlic. So easy. And why it's, I think it's one of the easiest. It's one of the useful. Let's go back to the useful bit from last week, or the other week. You plant it in autumn, when you don't need your beds, so you plant it in autumn, and you end up harvesting it in early summer, maybe you know, the start of July time. And you also get 2 crops. You get the scapes, which come up, you know, the flower stalks, which come up about a month before, and you cut them off once they've curled around a bit, and you chop them up, and you can use them as like an alternative to spring onions with, you know, with a garlic taste to it. You can saute them, all sorts of different things, make pesto with them. So that's the useful bit. But the easy bit is literally, you just plant them in autumn, leave them over the winter. They sort of get themselves all nestled in, ready to go. Sometimes they might come up a little bit. Then they grow in the early spring, into early summer. That's it. Drop them down, dig them up, dry them out. Job's a good one. And I'm still using now in March garlic from last year's harvest. So an absolutely fantastically easy plant to grow. Plant it in, again, just make sure it has enough water, and I never have any snags with it whatsoever. Such an easy plant to grow, such a useful plant, because everybody should have garlic in the kitchen to make their beautiful dishes. But really easy plant to grow. And you can get, you know, in a good sized bed, you can get lots and lots of garlic, like I said, to sort of, in a 6x4 bed, to see you all the way through the winter time. As long as you store them in a nice, cool, dry place. Again, I keep saying it, jobs are good in there. So what have we got next? Number 2, I think, I'm just going to have a look at my board. Number 2 is runner beans. Again, they were in my most useful top 5 last week, and they're in my top 2 this week. Runner beans, easy, really easy to grow. Again, stick them in the ground, or if you want to, like I do a bit of both. I put a load in the ground, and then I grow some, then I sow some in pots about a month earlier to sort of get them growing, and plant them in sort of once the soil has really warmed up. They don't like growing in non-warm conditions. You know, they like the soil nice and warm. So make sure the soil is warmed up. Plant some canes, you know, like a tunnel, like you can see there. Let them grow up. Tie them in early on, and then that's it. they'll go up, and all you got to do is keep picking the fruit again. Once they, make sure they're watered. Again, like all of these veg, really, they do like a good amount of water, and they'll flower, and then the fruit will come, and then you just got to keep picking. The more you pick, the more they'll flower, all the way till the last frost. Really nothing to do other than make sure they're tied in. Such an easy plant to grow. In most conditions, I just like it nice and warm, and a beautiful plant as well, isn't it, with those lovely red flowers. I'm obsessed with runner beans, but any sort of climbing beans really, actually. All your purple beans. I just really like runner beans. Ever since I was a kid, scrumping in other people's back gardens, running around, bringing some, and they're not even bringing them home, just eating them on the run. Absolutely love runner beans. Don't tell my mum. Right, number one is, now I've got lettuce down there, but what I really mean is any of your sort of leafy greens. Again, they were in my versatile, but they're so easy to grow, aren't they? Literally now, I'm going to start, as well as these, I'm going to sow some lettuce, some rocket, or arugula, as we call it over here. All your different sort of lettuce, mustards, etc. They like it in nice, cool conditions, but they're really easy to grow, and they grow really quick as well. So that is a good thing about them. Is not only are they really easy to germinate, etc. They grow quite quickly, and there's and you can buy those ones now, or grow those ones. They sort of come and cut and come again type ones, where you can just pick the outer leaves, leave them, come back again, pick the outer leaves. That's the way I like them, and just literally sow them outside or pre-sow them in pots so that you can grow them on early, like I'm going to do here, and they will grow really easy for you. Again, make sure they're nice and watered, and like the tip I gave the other week in that video, my most valuable sort of plants, if you grow them in some shade, so if you've got any tall plants, maybe some peas, and maybe the beans in between there, when it gets too hot, they'll like a bit of shade, but early in the season now, and late in the season in autumn, etc., you can grow them right until the sort of last frosts, and often, if you give them a bit of protection, they'll keep on going, because they don't mind a little bit of cold. So as long as you've got them established at that point, they're brilliant. So there we go. 5 really easy sort of plants to grow. Where do we start? I can't remember what we started with now. What was it? Raspberries, autumn fruit and raspberries, easy. Plant them, let them grow, cut them at the end of the summer, hard down, let them grow again. Easy peasy, much easier than summer fruiting raspberries. So where we got them? Then we said peas and garlic. Garlic, one of the most useful plants you can grow. Runner beans, my favourites, and your sort of leafy greens, whether it be lettuces or even kale. Kale, now, it just comes back every single year. Because I let a lot of these plants, a few of these plants grow and flower, etc., because all the different hoverflies and things like the pollinating insects love all those flowers, so they will come in, and I'll grow them around tomatoes, etc., and they'll come in and pollinate them and then move on to the tomatoes. I let them grow to seed sometimes. I get kale and things like that coming up all over the place all the time. Coriander just grows back every single year in my garden. There we go. 5 easy plants. Try them. If you're new to sort of gardening, definitely lettuce, runner beans easy. Get some garlic in this autumn. And the good thing about garlic as well is you could pull it out, and then it's got a chance. You've got a chance for a second crop in that space you had the garlic. So there we go. Still not planting time really for me here. I've got to be thinking about sowing seeds, etc., indoors, which is no big deal. I'm hoping for the snow to go, and but in the meantime, while it is snowing, we can still have fun in the Farley family here in Nova Scotia. As you can see, they're having a bit of a good laugh. doing some
already.
sledding.
Here we go. Whoa, 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 abort. Whoa.
Oh my God, Molly!
And that's it. That's it for this week. I will be sowing some seeds, I think, next week, and let's have a look, see what we can sow other than these peppers. Or I might do a video on these peppers, but you know, pretty easy really. Just a few lines, cover them with a couple of mils of compost, and then I'll stick them in somewhere warm on my windowsill for the moment. Job's a good one.